Namaste students and welcome back to poetry class. Let me ask you a question. Do you sometimes worry that things are not going as you had planned? Do you sometimes question what's your future is going to be? Do you get nervous, especially during exams? I know the answer is yes. Today we'll read a poem which will liberate you and overwhelm you with positive energy. So let's get started.
Hope is the Thing with Feathers, written by Emily Dickinson. Emily Elizabeth Dickinson was an American prolific poet. She was born in Amherst, Massachusetts, into a prominent family with strong ties to its community. She studied at the Amherst Academy for 7 years. She briefly attended the Mount Holyoke Female Seminary before returning to her family's house in Amherst. So this was about the poet, and now let's read it. But before that, let me tell you that Dickinson's only 10 of her nearly 1,800 poems were published during her lifetime, and most of her poems were unique to her era. And even this poem, you will find it very different, very unique. So let's read. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. This poem has 12 lines, which are divided into 3 stanzas of 4 lines each. Let's read the first 4 lines. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. Emily Dickinson did not give titles to her poems, so the first line is always given as the title. In 1998, R.W. Franklin published a definitive version of her poems, closely following the poet's form and layout, and this poem is numbered 314. The first word is given special emphasis with speech marks, that in inverted commas, quotation marks are given to the word hope, as if the poet wants to define that elusive word hope, and she does so with metaphor. Hope, according to poet, has feathers, and it is like a bird. A bird which can perch in the human soul. The bird has feathers, and the feathers are soft and gentle to the touch, but they are also strong in flight, even on tiny birds. The feathers help the birds to fly high, and they are made up of complex individual fibers which symbolize unity in strength. The imagery here grows stronger as the reader progresses. Not only is hope feathery, it can sing. It sits on a perch and sings the whole time. But the song is special, for there are no words, no diction for anyone to understand rationally. It's as if hope is pure song, pure feeling, a deep-seated longing that can take flight at any time. This song is endless. Note the double dash emphasis on "at all" and the stanza breaks, which brings attention to these two little words. Now let's go to the second stanza. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. There are two distinct pauses which the reader has to be careful with. Hope is always singing, as we know from the first stanza, but it sings the sweetest when the going gets rough, when the gale starts to blow. So when life is hard and things are thrown at us, the pressure relentless, there is hope, singing through the chaos and mayhem. It would take a hellish storm to embarrass or disconcert this bird, which protects many people from adverse situations. Hope is difficult to disturb, even when life seems hard. So, dear students, let's read the last 4 lines of the poem. I've heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. If you observe here, the personal pronoun I appears for the first time, indicating a personal connection to this subject, perhaps. Emily Dickinson thought of herself as a little bird called a wren, so the link is direct here and the use of I is justified here. The speaker has heard the bird during the hardest, coldest times, when emotions are churning and life surreal, but even when things are extreme, hope is still there and never asks anything. Hope gives us much but never asks for a simple thing like crumb in return. It is all inspirational, yet slightly mysterious. Hope wells up in the heart and soul, yet who knows where it comes from? Maybe hope comes from philosophy, religion, psychology, and even metaphor are not sufficient. There is an abstract nature to hope. Hope can give us strength to carry on in the most adverse of conditions. The voice of hope can be heard despite the noise at the height of the storm.
learned from Dickinson that hope is a golden quality in a human being that shines even during adversity. Dickinson has used the word at all to show that hope is everlasting, ever shining, and undefeatable. So students, remember, whenever you are in turbulent times, do not forget that hope resides in you and it is giving you strength to move on. So leaving you with lots of hope in your mind and heart. Thank you for joining. Enjoy learning.